Welcome back to Kevin Pollak's Chat Show. I am, as always, Chat Show. What about you? Happy anniversary. How nice of you. It is our second anniversary. 2 years we've been here. And I can't believe it. Let me just start there. I can't believe it. Our humble beginnings 2 years ago. I was on the other side of this table, just to give you a little example of where we were at. Our motto was born that day, on the air live, when at some point in the early goings I was forced to look at the camera and say, we're not ready. And boy, weren't we, and boy, aren't we. We've started late here for only the second time in 105 guests. 2 years, we've started late twice. It's my responsibility for starting late this time, because I decided we would start the show with a clip of the guest as a cold opening, right? Because we could never show clips on the show, because they said, well, then you have to pay for them. You have to go out to the studio, and I don't want to do that. So we stopped doing clips almost immediately. And then forever we haven't had clips on the show. And then I was going through my show ritual, just so you know. We're in this room often a couple of hours. So early on, our initial makeup artist, Kate Shorter, would yell at me, Kevin, did you pee? And the computer would stop buffering, and I would say, no, Kate, I hadn't peed yet. And I would race out of the studio and pee, because a couple times we had to take an intermission because I was going to explode. So I was doing my pre-show ritual of the pee, and I thought, you know, it'd be nice to show a clip of the guest before the cold opening, which would be just for the live show. That's right. Those of you watching live at this very moment should have a little nice bonus the people who watch and listen to later don't get. No. So we should show a clip at the opening as a cold opening, edit it out for the iTunes, that way we don't have to pay for it. It just airs live. How about that as a ritual? So we started 12 minutes late to pull this off, and we gave birth now to a new bit. Write to us at contact@kevinpollakschapter.com. Let us know what you think, those of you watching live in the chat room. Don't just tell Jamie and Sam reading over her shoulder. Let me know.
I rarely read over her shoulder.
Is that right, Sam?
I mostly try to pay attention to you. Happy 2-year anniversary.
You're so kind. Now,
do we look 2 years older? Because, God, I feel like 6 years older.
You look 2 years younger.
You're not the first person to say that.
Well, so, happy anniversary to you, too.
Thanks, buddy.
Jamie?
Yeah, you kept saying happy anniversary to me, and I was like, what'd I miss? Like, I thought it was like some personal thing, and then I'm like, I didn't get a gift.
I know, right?
But then you're like, the show. And I was like,
Elaine and Travis bought a cake.
Of course they did.
Of course they did.
They travel with the cake in the car trunk, don't they?
They always have spare. Elaine always has spare food, I think.
The writing looked very last second. As if they'd brought it from the trunk to the table. And no, it was very thoughtful. And although the only gesture from all of our friends to celebrate the anniversary.
Kenny brought cupcakes.
I said friends.
All right.
I didn't say
I was going to say, give credit.
Kenyon did bring cupcakes. He's gone from
Kenya?
Dr. Chen to Kenyon. I've decided it's Kenyon now.
Very well.
Dr. Chen joins us for the first time today as a truly paid crew member.
Yay!
It took 2 years, and now I've insisted on paying him. Sam, your day's coming.
Oh, fingers crossed!
But happy anniversary to all of us. Last year we did a Catchers Catch Can type show, and I said, no, let's have a real guest this year. And let's do a real show, and we'll just celebrate the anniversary in the opening moments and then get back to business, as it were. But I did want to mention from our humble beginnings a couple of years ago, we were on the front page, above the column, above the fold in column 1 of the LA Times, just a couple of months after launching the show. Then we went on to win a Streamy Award, not to be confused with the Cable Ace, for Best Live Production, and then written up in numerous news and reviews sites such as Tube Filter, Gorilla Geek, New TV, Beat TV, TechCrunch, and a blog titled Not Just Movies by a film and journalism student at Auburn University named Jake Cole, who writes, he's also on Twitter at Not Just Movies. He writes for this armchaircblogpost.com, what I consider to be the most intelligent review of the chat show ever. Not all flattering by any form or means, but it's basically the ultimate guide to the chat show, guidebook, if you will. I just wanted to give him a little props because I was reading through a bunch of them in preparation for the anniversary. And holy shit, did he just kind of do an amazing job. And he's a student at the Auburn University. Journalism, hopes to be a film critic one day. And you know, if you watch the show, how I feel about film critics. And I wish Jake Cole tremendous success in his career because he reminded me of a young Janet Maslin, who did such great film journalism, I would say. Not reviews, film journalism. There's enough about that. I want to thank my crew. You know, I realized also it took 2 years, all of the epiphanies that come after 2 years. I'm just an infant. I can barely walk. I realized that, you know, the majority of our downloads are audio because people don't really care to look at us. No, they've been telling us over the years, I get to say now, because it's so awkward saying over the year, that they'll be at work and you can get busted watching the show. But if you're listening, they just walk right past you. So people listen in the gym, in the car, and so on. So 90% of the iTunes are, it seems, audio. And I don't thank the crew by name on the show in an audio way. It's only in the rolling video credits that you see who the fuck works on this show. And that ain't right. 2 years. And by the way, none of the crew said, yeah, maybe you want to mention us by name? Fuckhead?
People should tune in. How else are they going to see my Benji Buttons thing I got going on?
Benji, what if at the 3rd year anniversary you're 3?
It's going to happen. Keep watching, people.
There's a reason to tune in one more year.
At least.
Yeah, he's going to go back in time so much that he'll actually become the same age as Sabrina, and then it'll all be...
Sabrina, the teenage stock. We love you, Sabrina. And now she's gotten way too much attention.
She loves it.
So anywho, I do want to thank the crew by name. And right now, damn it, Mike Rodman, our fearless director, who just returned from South by Southwest himself. He was there 9 days and got 3 things done. I also want to thank, holding for laugh, I also want to thank Jason McIntyre, J-Mac, who was our sit-in director last week and does the research every week to help me put together the dossier. A fantastic job. Emily Goodwin, of course, who also does an amazing job, is with us, I think, well, somebody write up on the board there exactly how long, but I know it's over a year. Somebody give me the exact timeline. Anyway, she does a great job for our sound. 1 year. 3 months. Thank you. Josh Negrin, who does a lot of post-production and pre-production and also has been editing. We, for the longest time, didn't have post-production on the show. It was just throw it up there live. I don't want to edit the show ever. No, refuse. And then AOL said, we'd like to show 2-minute clips of your show 5 days a week. And I said, Josh, start editing. So he's done a great job. And he was a walk-on. What do they call the shirts? In the college, the football. There's a term of a, what did he say? Red shirt? Red. He was a red shirt. He was a walk-on red shirt. For those of you that give a shit about sports, clearly I suffer horribly. Just knocked on the door. We were doing the show 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah, Gypsy said I should come over. Who are you? I'll work.
Is that really how this went down?
Yes, that's how Josh.
So how do we know he's not a spy for a rival podcast?
He's from Russia.
There's no way out.
He is.
Just giving them all receipts.
He's got some pretty good cover going on. He's been here, what, a year and a half now?
It's weird because this would really help his cover for you to talk about it openly. Ooh. Right?
No.
No.
I think we're going to take him out back and beat it out of him. You guys do not watch enough spy movies.
Who am I leaving out? Dr. Chen's been covered. Jamie,
Jesus
thank
Christ,
you
the Lord our Savior,
for being the head writer and bearing witness. Jesus Christ, our Lord, our Savior, did you say?
Yeah! Don't you watch award shows? Nobody wins an award without Jesus' help.
But doesn't that suggest that he voted against the other 4 people who didn't win?
No.
The big fuck you from Jesus?
It's not a no or yes, it's just yes.
Because that's true in sports. I want to thank Jesus, for helping me win the game.
Oh no, in sports it's different. In sports, Jesus hates the Cubs.
Could you imagine the pressure of being Jesus? Could you imagine being the pressure of being Jesus' bookie?
That's a rough gig.
Right?
It's a rough gig.
Jeez, I'm going to need that $6,000. Ooh. I hate to send a guy over.
I think you're going to want to rewatch that game. That's what Jesus would
But
say.
I thought you were thanking the crew, so doesn't it mean that Jesus Christ is on the crew?
Yeah, right? Jesus Christ is not on this crew.
He's on everyone's crew.
No.
You know what I'm talking about?
Now,
Right.
Sam, you remember that you're Jewish. Very good.
Oh, that's what that was.
And I also want to thank
So
our
makes sense
executive in charge of social media, Elaine Ewing, everybody. Elaine Ewing, not as much as...
I just heard a groan from her out
Not
there.
as
I
much
heard,
applause as I was expecting. Makeup artists, I mentioned Kate Schroeder, Jennifer Zide, Kelly LeBlanco, Diane Mayo, Samantha Ward, Annette Laurent. That's how many makeup people we need.
Just for me.
All
And I
7.
still look like this. I still look like I have bags under my eyes. I look like garbage.
Also, some help we've had on occasion from Corey Levin, J.J. Mays. Who are some other people, Mike Rotman, that have dropped in and covered?
Rune,
Rune
of course, yeah.
Kincaid. What was the other one?
Corey, we said Corey.
I said Corey. Pay attention. Thanks to Joseph Bleecker Street, the Peter Pitter Hermosa Beach, the Gurn brothers for some of the fantastic chapeaus I wear in the hat. Here in Los Angeles, they're great, as well as in their home, my home, San Francisco. But also, thanks to, of course, Jason Kalkanis, the Mad Greek, for the encouragement and opportunity to begin this newest phase of my creative career. If not for him, believe it or not, none of this would be possible. And I say believe it or not because most people hate Jason Kalkanis. Let's be clear.
I'm still on the fence.
He is beloved by 3 and hated by the rest. And 2 of those 3 are his family. Which means not all of his family.
Hey.
People have said, hey, why not sponsors? Why don't you have sponsors? Where are your sponsors? Well, we have a sponsor right now. That sponsor's name is Bowflex. Thank you very much. And we put together this little ad for Bowflex so that they may continue to sponsor the show as they sponsor this very one. And we thank them also for making this possible and making it possible for me to add Dr. Chen to the payroll. We should thank Bowflex for that. But here's an ad that we put together for them for their sponsorship of this show. And then I swear, in 72 minutes, I will introduce our guest.
Hello, how are you? I'm here to tell you about Bowflex Treadclimber. Oh, this is exciting stuff. The machine is called the Bowflex Treadclimber. The Treadclimber combines the motions of a treadmill, a stepper, and an elliptical into one beautiful machine. It's 3 workouts in one fluid motion. You can't touch it, folks. All you have to do to lose weight is walk. That's it. Wow, walk. Bowflex recommends just 30 minutes 3 times a week. That's it. Ooh, how great is this? Bowflex did a study at Adelphi University that showed the TRC can burn up to 40% more calories than a stepper, can burn up to 2 times the calories of a treadmill. Wow, these are 2 ways to request the treadmill info kit. There are 2 different ways. What's in the info kit, you ask? I hear you. The full-color glossy brochure that describes the Treadclimber's unique motion 3-in-1 design, available models, financing offers, etc. Also, a free DVD so you can see it in motion and learn more about the machine. And finally, bonus. Ooh, bonus. We love bonuses. The Bowflex Insider's Guide, which includes a free fitness assessment, 6 weight loss secrets anyone can use to start losing weight today. Forget yesterday, we're talking about today. Info on nutrition, superfoods, and more. Hey, did I mention it was free? Enjoy your Bowflex Treadclimber today.
Thank you, Bowflex, for your continued support. And we thank you very much, honestly and truly. If you go to the website there, walkforkevin.com. No, there's a thing.
Walk with Kevin?
Walk with Kevin. Thank you, sir.
Sure. I've walked with you.
To get all the information, that number to call, 1-800-436-6063. So thanks to Bowflex. And then according to our new friends at PodTrack, we're going to have 4 new sponsors coming in April.
Get out of here.
Yeah, we're going to start getting some sponsorship numerals.
Don't you dare mention them now if they haven't paid for this month.
Right?
That's all I'm
To
saying.
hell with them.
To hell with them until
They
April.
should die.
They should die until April, when they should live.
And then they should soar like an eagle. Lastly, I want to thank all of you. Yes, you. From the very beginning, I insisted this was our show. And over the last 2 years, you've made the greatest contribution, more so than anyone I've mentioned or myself for that matter, in helping to shape the show and form the show. Continue to write to us if you would, please, at contact@kevinpollackschatshow.com so we can continue to grow and evolve thanks to you and your leadership. As you may know, we changed the structure for the library. While all the new shows, such as this one, will continue to pop up on iTunes for free, the library itself recently went into a support system where we ask for your help on that regard so that I may continue to pay my crew during those times when we don't have a sponsor. We have a whole new subscription page being put together for you. We've had lots of people write in, and thank you for that, and continue to do so. Write in telling us, hey, I'm happy to help out and support your show, but how about a subscription model, idiot? So there again, we listen to you, and we are attempting to evolve, and we should be presenting the subscription page, I assume, in the next couple of weeks, because I've been told that it's going to be less than that. So look forward to that, and we look forward to your continued support and help to make all this possible, as it completely and utterly has taken over my life. Yeah. I get calls every now and again from show business, and I'll say, no, I'm busy. I'm busy doing this. So, all right, show business?
Yeah, but did you really want to be the center square? Come on, Kim.
You know, I did. I say bring back Password. That's what I say.
Yeah.
That's a show I love.
Yeah.
Anywho, thank you again for your continued support and ideas. And in fact, we will include a couple of your ideas right now, dare I say, as we go to a part of the show I like to call Ask Kevin.
Ask Kevin.
What? They did not say ass.
There's no K.
There's a K in there.
There was no K in there.
This first Ask Kevin is from Isaac Mallon, at Isaac Mallon. Does supermoon mean super werewolves? That's the question from Isaac Mallon. And I believe the answer is known to all other than Isaac Mallon. Yes, of course it means super werewolves.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly you were fortunate not to be bitten. Everyone raised their hand who saw the supermoon last night. There are no hands being raised. Kenny, you're lying.
You are a liar. You could not possibly
No,
have
I'm sorry.
seen...
Kenny, you're not lying. You were high.
Los Angeles got really boned on that one.
Yeah.
Because it was completely overcast and raining last night.
And there was a moment of clarity where we live, and
Yeah.
I went out and looked around. Still no supermoon.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
I saw a couple of super Draculas, but I think that was unrelated.
That must have been, because
Just a coincidence.
This next question comes to us from @the_Kevin_Rubio. Will you be participating in the 3rd annual Talk Like William Shatner Day? Is it the 3rd annual already? I believe this coincides with a birthday of his, and that means he's turning 81.
Good God.
81 years of age. Let me just say, I look forward to it. I'll kick any one of the balls. He's my hero, and Maurice LaMarche dragged me into Talk Like William Shatner Day last year. I shot a little video with him, for him, on his phone, and I believe it popped up elsewhere on the YouTubes. So sure, I'll participate. Emily, make a note of that. Let's do something. When is that, Tuesday? Last question is from C. McGo, @C. McGo. Are you going to get people from Always Sunny in Philadelphia or Modern Family on the chat show? Am I going to? Yeah, I'd love to. Do you know how I reach them? I love the suggestions from you on guest ideas, but keep in mind, we booked the show ourselves. Today's guest is 105, number 105, and I've yet to talk to one publicist, agent, or manager, simply because I refuse. I have CC'd a couple when asked, but never dealt with one in order to get a guest. Consequently, unless I have a way to reach these people, I don't have to be friends with them. I could have just met them once, but I need your help. So, I put it back on you. When you'd like to suggest a guest, please suggest a way that I might reach them. Otherwise, the answer will be no. I am not going to book them because I need your help. I would love to have anyone from either one of those shows.
I tried to get Caitlin Olsen and her husband Rob from Always Sunny, but when I told them about the show, I think they thought I was making it up.
Why would they think you thought they were?
I don't know. I don't think they believe me that it was a real thing that exists every week.
Will you continue to go after them? Because I just saw her on, whose talk show was it? Holy crap, was she funny.
Jack Parr?
Yes, it was Jack Parr.
Okay.
I don't think Conan, I want to say, gosh darn it, I wish I could remember.
Kimmel?
No, but I'm telling you, it was just a couple days ago. Everybody was in reruns, so it was not a recent. So anyways, she was crazy, ridiculous, funny, way beyond what I had thought, and I love her on the show.
Oh, yeah.
So anywho, dear God, somebody...
All right, I'll do my best.
Someone do
I'll
better.
go down that road again.
She was on Jimmy Fallon. That's what it was. She was on Jimmy Fallon.
I'll go down that road again.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to make this happen.
So, yes, I would love to book people from Always Sunny in Philadelphia and Modern Family. Please help. And that is all for Ask Kevin. However, before I get to our guest, we have one last little piece, which is the Larry King game. Today, we have a winner of a T-shirt. We'll need to know your size, Nick Reed. Please email us back. I believe we got a slow mail. J-Mac came in here with a letter, a handwritten letter with today's Larry King game.
Because it came with my keychain.
It came with your keychain. That's what it was. Jamie, do you want to talk about your keychain?
I got my first keychain
You
because I
put
was
out a
asking
little-
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You put out a little help, a
Because I
little
lost my
SOS,
keys
right?
at the end of January, and I was more upset that I lost my keychain. And somebody sent me an old school Figment plush keychain, which is excellent because I had a Figment keychain. Was one of the ones I lost. Nick Reed sent it to
Nick Reed kicked some serious ass
Yeah.
there. So we thank you for that. If those of you want to continue with the contest, send it to Jamie, care of thisweekend.com, 902 Colorado Boulevard, Santa Monica, California is 90401. Good luck beating Nick Reed's effort there. Nick Reed writes in this, Larry King. They recently found the 10,000-year-old bones of a boy in Mexico. His mother was my third wife. Because I was on peyote at the time, she got custody in the divorce. His death was a soul-crushing loss for me. Though not as big as the time he finally beat me in basketball and I realized I was getting old. Whatever happened to his mother? Well, our village sacrificed her, tossed her in a volcano, at the mouth of which I married my next two wives, separate occasions. Nooseneck, Rhode Island. What's your question?
Wow.
Nice effort, Nick Reed.
That was very
Wasn't
impressive.
that beautiful?
That was a whole story.
Granted, a 3-act play, but
That was...
nice. Puts a little pressure on those who write in Larry King games in the future to win a Kevin Pollak's Chat Show T-shirt. Please, Nick Reed, write us a little quicker mail than the slow mail, the snail mail. A little email to contact@kevinpollakschatshow.com and let us know what size you are so we can send out that T-shirt. Okay, that is 3 hours of thank yous. And honest to goodness, everyone who's ever done anything to help this show in the last 2 years that I may have forgotten, I am now including you. Because I really, truly am grateful. Thankfully, I just picked up the ball myself, Ustream.com. Thank you. Thank you! Richard Kind has done nothing to help this show. Can I be honest? He's never lifted a finger, but I will use him now to thank Ustream. Thank you! Check out their new apps on the Ustream app.
TriCaster people.
You can watch the show on your Android or your iPhone now. And lastly, of course, TriCaster. Is it New Tech? Who's the company that sends the? Yeah, New Tech. Thank you, New Tech. NewTech.com, maybe. NewTechInc.com. Check them out. They make live television possible for the interwebs and for the television. All righty. like many people who make comedy their life, either as a fan or as a participant, as a creative entity, what have you, there was a time when it all kind of changed for a certain generation, and for the next 37 years, maybe. When in 1975, well, I just did the math. In 1975, the Saturday Night Live was born on the televisions on your NBC network, and it was its predecessor, Laugh-In, was the first time I remember from my life where what is now known as water cooler comedy. That was something the next day that everyone was doing the bits from the show the night before. Saturday Night Live became that times a million. And it's where a great many comedians of my generation and every generation since found Valhalla, this new world to learn from, to study, to embrace and to enjoy and to feel like we were a part of something just by knowing the ins and outs of it. So many books have been written. Of course, the collection of DVDs over the many years have continued to celebrate the so-called and forever called original cast. As a group, they lasted, I believe, 5 years, 75 to 80. Of course, they lost, I think, Chevy after year one, and there were some comings and goings, and Bill Murray was added pretty soon. For those of us who celebrate and continue to, the launch of this particular intergalactic ride, there's a moment in time, and you can't say enough about it, quite frankly, and I care not those that came before me and waving this flag to suggest that my doing so now is a bit trite, because to emphasize the difference that it made in my life is still an understatement. So I am thrilled beyond words, clearly, as I trip over them, to welcome Laraine Newman to this table as a founding member.
Thank you, Kevin.
And now
Thank you, my dear.
let's put the oh, see, nice. We turned up the air conditioning as a way to.
I'm wearing a parka.
Mhm.
I'm wearing a parka on the TV show.
Let's give a little background to the people. You know, it's a long-standing history, and I know you know this, that for every talk show, and probably same for the theater, you want it to be cold in the room to keep the audience fresh and alive. People have been busting Letterman's chops about it forever. They come out in fur coats saying, well, if it wasn't 40 degrees in here. And there was this long-standing tradition, and I didn't find out about it, I think, till I was a guest on one of those shows, because I don't remember Carson having a chill factor of 40 degrees, but Letterman was the first one. It was like a meat locker, literally.
Yeah, well, it was also the auspices of keeping the cameras cool.
Ah, was it?
Mm-hmm.
I never heard that before.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
For the equipment.
Remember when they had camera people who actually ran the cameras? Now they're all done by...
Oh, they don't have them anymore?
They're all remote control.
Oh.
As you can tell by the 6 cameras in this room.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you so much, honestly, for braving the cold here in the studio.
It was a gauntlet, but I got here.
Yeah. We had the LA Marathon as our first obstacle, and then it decided to rain cats, dogs, and geckos.
And werewolves.
And werewolves,
Yeah.
left over from the supermoon. And you don't live far away from here.
No.
I'll give the street address in a second. But it must have been ridiculous still. Because remember, this is, I think, well, the second year we've had to deal with the LA Marathon in terms of our guests. And I remember last year it being an absolute nightmare. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I scoped it. It was not that much. It wasn't that hard.
You and your husband did a little recon?
Yeah, we did.
Did you Google map it?
I'd like to take some credit, but I can't hang you up to dry like that.
He did like a military operation.
It was
though.
Painless.
Really?
I can't take credit.
I have a new thing where I can't trust Google Maps.
Yeah, it's true. You can't.
Really can't trust Google Maps. And then we found this out when we did the show live from San Francisco about a month or so ago. And I'm from there, but I still need to Google Map a couple of things.
You're from San Francisco?
I am indeed.
Really?
I was born there. I was born at Children's Hospital.
Oh, don't you know?
Yeah, that's where the Irish people come from, San Francisco.
Right. California.
Are you a fan of Man vs. Food by any chance?
I'm familiar with that.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
So Jamie, my better half, becomes obsessed with the show, and Adam Richman, the host, and we are suddenly on a quest, every opportunity to go to one of the restaurants where he goes to beat the challenge.
I've always wanted to.
Right?
Oh, I've always wanted to.
So we have to drive 45 minutes out of San Francisco to one of these places, and I trust Google Maps, and I end up in Switzerland. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah.
So then she creates this running gag that Google Maps is going to come to my stand-up shows that night and heckle me from. So now we picture a map, kind of like Towley, with legs crossed, and the arms out. The arms out. This guy can't follow a simple direction, huh? Yeah. So I got heckled by Google Maps.
Oh, that's low.
So, anyways, thanks for getting here, and I'm sorry about the ramblings, because I can't imagine how tried it may be for you after all these years. But the truth of the matter is, much like you reminded Chevy, the history should not be forgotten. Let's talk about that opening bit that you did for Chevy's roast.
Oh.
And now you were warned by not then Senator Al Franken, then just funny man Al Franken, that would not be funny, that would not work.
Well,
and now you fought through the gauntlet of that and said, I'm going to do it anyways.
Yeah, I just thought, what is the worst thing someone could say about Chevy? And just start off with that, And I just, I really wasn't prepared for that show. I remember the roasts from, the Dean Martin era.
The great days.
We roast the ones we love.
Yes. Now?
But this was just a horrible,
filthy, rotten,
fellatio
disgusting.
for money thing. People that didn't know Chevy.
Yeah. Well, that's what they do now.
It was awful. It was an awful experience. I just felt filthy afterwards. And so, yeah, and he was not happy.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, at the end of it. Basically said, I'm only doing this because they're donating money to my wife's favorite charity.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was brutal.
So they wrote stuff for you, and you said, I can't say this.
Well, no, I did use some of the things that they gave me, and then I consulted some other writers. Alan Zweibel and Hugh Fink actually ended up writing most of what I did, and some of it was what I wrote. But I just...
The Dear Diary thing was yours.
I just redid the premise, which was, because it was set up so that, I don't remember what's in here. I just, anything could be...
I haven't seen it in 20 years, you said.
So I have no responsibility for what might come out.
What the child, in me, 27 years ago may have written.
Yeah, who knows?
Hilarious.
Yeah, thank you.
And you said in it, and those of you who know me know that I'm not a stand-up comedian, that is in fact something that you never tried, stand-up comedy?
Oh, no.
Not once?
God, no. No, I am a supporting player. That's what I do. I don't want to be by myself out there. Although that is really what I did at the Groundlings. I did character monologues at the Groundlings, yeah. But stand-up, no, it's a different crowd.
Well, character monologues suggest that, of course, you are in fact hiding behind the auspices of a fictitious character of your own design.
Right.
But you don't have to talk as yourself.
Exactly.
And that's where it gets creepy.
It's not that personal.
Right.
Right.
So it was never an idea that crossed your mind as something that would be fun.
No.
No.
No, I didn't have the balls for that.
Right.
No. But I love stand-up. I've been watching it. My education, if you want to talk about influence.
Please.
The Merv Griffin show came on in L.A.
Yeah.
In black and white when Arthur Treacher was his sidekick.
Absolutely.
In the afternoon.
Yeah.
And I would see everybody.
Yeah.
Pete Barbuti, Jackie Vernon, Jackie Mason,
right.
David Fry, John Biner, Richard Pryor,
right.
Rodney Dangerfield, all these people, Toady Fields.
He loved comedians.
Yeah, and that was my education, and I just ate that stuff up, and it was just so great, and there was, humor was encouraged in our house anyway, and my sister was a folk singer. She was in the New Christy Minstrels.
Tracy? Mm-hmm. You're kidding.
I'm not kidding.
And one of the parts of your dossier suggested that you are a twin.
Yeah, I have a twin brother named Paul Newman.
Wait for it.
There it is.
Okay.
Okay. And
because your folks had a sense of humor, or,
no,
or loved Paul Newman, the actor?
He was not a well-known actor at the time we were born.
Ah.
What? Yeah, well, no.
Oh, yeah, let's do the math, sure.
Yes.
Okay.
No, he wasn't a well-known actor when we were born.
Right.
So.
All right, so I'm sorry. So Tracy was with the New Christie.
She was with the New Christie Minstrels.
My God.
Here's the deal. This is just so great. When I read Steve Martin's book,
Born Standing Up.
right,
Yeah.
he talks about all these people like Randy Sparks, people he knew in Westwood Village. Tracy knew those same people. It was just like synchronicity at the same time. I remember hearing her talk about all those people. And we converted our garage into a pool house, and we used to have hootenannies in the backyard.
Sure.
But people like the Limelighters and the Kingston Trio and Theodore Bikel, all these
John
people would
Stewart
show up.
from the Kingston Trio.
I didn't know the names of these individuals, but you know, they would all show up and have these great hootenannies in the backyard.
Holy
Now,
shit.
I of course hated folk music, but I appreciated it. I appreciated the harmonies and the musicianship. It was fantastic.
And you must have loved these people gathering at your house.
Yeah, it was like a mighty wind.
How old are you at this point?
I was like 7, 8, 9.
So this is incredible.
Yeah. And my cousin Marcia and her husband Stuart, or her husband Clark, they were like a well-known folk team.
Wow.
They were like the characters that Catherine O'Hara and Eugene
Right.
played in A Mighty Wind.
In A Mighty Wind, yeah.
They were those people.
Holy crap.
So that resonated with me
Yeah, just a
a
bit.
lot.
But as a kid that young, to have that going on in your garage and in your
Yeah.
backyard, oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Because I remember being a similar age and visiting cousins, and anyone broke out a guitar, I felt like I was at a live concert, not knowing that this is just what people do. And
It's magical.
yeah.
Yeah.
So actual professionals
And
performing in your garage.
She met this guy who was like a pipe fitter by day, but was a folk singer at the El Toril, which was a folk club, which I think is now some BJ's, you know, in Westwood next to the Fox Theater. It was the El Toril.
Wow.
Absolutely right.
Barry McGuire.
Holy shit.
And then he was her boyfriend who would come to the house, you know, and I just loved all of her boyfriends.
Sure.
She was a stone fox, my sister. Still is. But,
Was, yeah.
you know, still is like so cute. Always had really great looking boyfriends, and she would let me hang around. She was a great and is a great sister.
Aw.
Oh, I know.
But and this
right?
is Tracy we're talking about.
Tracy, yeah.
Who became a big-time television writer.
I know, an Emmy Award-winning TV writer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Has had a wonderful career.
Yeah, but she was a musician and is now again.
Really?
TracyNewman.com.
Go there.
Yeah.
All right, unfortunately, we're going to have to get back to you.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Nice try.
All right.
But you are stressing the point that you were and are a Los Angeles native.
Yes, and loved comedy and was very influenced by that.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I like the similar experience because I can so relate to it, of being home in the afternoon and seeing a cavalcade of comedians on your television in the stark light of the afternoon.
Yeah.
There was something incredibly surreal
Yeah.
about that. That Murph pulled off this weird thing. What's a late night talk show doing in the afternoon? This must be a mistake, but don't tell anyone.
But we had no context for it.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
But it didn't have the association of a nightclub.
Right.
Or late night.
Yeah, and he made no extra effort to welcome you to an afternoon show. He never for a nanosecond slowed down to even suggest that this was airing any time other than the evening. I remember that
Yeah.
part of it too.
Yeah.
So, is it at this point that you're starting to watch funny people are you a naturally funny kid at this point?
Hard to say. I mean, my dad was funny, and
The family was funny.
it was encouraged. My mother was kind of like a Gracie Allen type funny. She would say things like, "When one of us dies, I'm getting a Jaguar," things like that.
Okay.
And but my
Hilarious.
dad was really, really funny guy, really smart. He was a lawyer, but he was drafted to World War II, and so when he came back, his business moved to California. He didn't want to take the California bar, so he went into the quilting business.
What the?
Yeah. So, but he's a very bright guy. He was a very bright guy, very funny. And my twin brother is instinctively funny. And it was just encouraged in our house.
That's kind of nice.
Yeah.
So, well, it's that kind of support early on, I think, that there's an interesting parallel I've noticed in other people that have been on the show. That if your family was of the mind of, what are you doing? Then it became the secret you kept for yourself until you could break free in your early 20s. But if it was supported, as it was in my house as well, from such an early age, just because it was just kind of a fun thing around the house to be funny, then you're right, there is no recollection of, and then I realized I was funny, because it was just the norm.
Right.
Yeah. So when you're at, when you were saying before we went on live, you remember saying, because in your dossier it says you went to Beverly Hills High, and I wondered if you went there the same time as a Rob Reiner or Richard Dreyfuss, a couple people I know that went there, Albert Brooks. And you're, of course, younger than all of them, which I hadn't done the math on that, sorry. But you had mentioned that you saw Richard Dreyfuss. He was in a high school production. You were in probably middle school still.
Yeah.
What was the production? Do you remember what the...
I don't.
No, but you just remembered this kid catching your...
Stuck out. Yeah. Totally remembered him.
Little Dickie Dreyfuss.
Yeah. Yeah.
A scene stealer, even in high school.
Totally memorable. Yeah.
But they had all graduated by the time you started high school.
Yeah.
So when you meet him later, do you bring this up to him? Do you let him know ultimately?
Yes, and I met him when he hosted SNL.
Right.
And the first thing he said to me was, John Ingle didn't like me either. And that was our drama school teacher, our drama teacher.
Right.
And I remember thinking, who says he didn't like me?
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
This is the first I'm hearing of it.
Yeah, right. But actually, our drama teacher was a great guy, and he was very supportive. But
were you studying with him thinking this is fun, or were you studying with him thinking, I think I might like to do this?
I don't think anybody dares think that they could have a career at this. And also, Beverly Hills High School is a very unique place to be at school because you're at school and friends with children of real movie stars.
Right.
And, you know, when you go grocery shopping or Christmas shopping, you're going to see Cary Grant and Fred Astaire, and you live across the street from Groucho Marx and down the street from Kirk Douglas.
Oh, my God.
So, you know, you don't necessarily think
Wait a second,
that
I'm
there's...
just picturing Cary Grant at the store at Christmas shopping.
Well, Carol and Company.
Right. He would shop at Carol and Company.
Yes.
Where are the shoes?
Yeah.
I can't find the shoes anywhere. Somebody tell me where the shoes are.
Don't do that while I'm drinking.
Sorry. So you're with these kids of ridiculously famous people.
Yeah. So your existence is an everyday existence and a very mundane one.
Right.
And I don't mean that in a pejorative sense. I mean that it is the norm.
It's such the norm that it's not special, nor do you take it for granted. It just is.
It just is.
Right.
But at the same time, it does still seem unattainable.
What
And
those parents
also,
do.
Yeah, and also my mother said to her 4 children, I don't care what you kids do as long as you don't go into show business.
Wow. What age are you when that announcement's made?
At all ages.
So she hadn't done the math that she could get that Jaguar without anyone dying if one of you went into show business?
Well, my father did pretty well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You were going to Beverly Hills High, after all.
Yeah.
All right, so Mom lays this gauntlet down, and do any of you take it seriously, or you're not thinking about show business
No.
anyway, so
Well,
sure, Mom, don't worry
my
about
sister was
it.
a folk singer, you know.
Already with the Christie Biscuit?
Yeah, and then she left for New York. She had her own show on, at the time was like PBS, or what was it, KCET, or...
In New York.
Yeah, and Ed McMahon was her manager.
Shut up.
I'm not kidding.
What the hell are you talking about?
Ed McMahon was her manager.
Now, we've already had some Paul Newman confusion. The Ed McMahon?
The Ed McMahon.
All right.
Yes!
You're correct, sir.
Wow, I did not know he was in the management game.
You did not know that.
I know.
I did not know that.
then,
so
you know,
she's
she
on
was-
her way to show business, and
Yeah, and then she was like the MC at places like the Bitter End. So she became friends with all these comics.
oh boy.
So like when Richard Pryor played the Troubadour, one of his first gigs in LA, and she said, Mom, Dad, kids, I want you to come meet my friend Richard Pryor.
Oh no.
I'm 14. I'm in one of those braces. You know? I'm really happy to meet you, Mr. Pryor. You know?
I'm sorry. One of those braces?
Yeah.
What does
You know,
that mean?
The body brace.
What had happened?
Oh, I had the curvature of the spine thing.
Did you now?
Yeah, you know, the funny thing. The thing that makes you funny.
How long does the body cast last?
2.5 years.
Oh, fantastic.
You know, when you really are very, very excited about your appearance.
Sure, formative years.
But at least I had cystic acne.
Oh,
That was good.
what a great combination.
And my adult-sized nose.
Hello. That's funny. I saw that in your dossier. You made several references to when I was young, I had fabulous acne and adult-sized nose that I carried as an adult, but as a child, not so great. But all of this, oh God, a body cast for 2.5 years.
No, it wasn't a cast. It was a brace. It came off an hour a day.
Okay. It came off an hour a day. So you slept in it, of course.
Yeah.
2.5 years this is going on. That's got to be something that most of us can't wrap our brains around. So is there a single funny memory? Or should we just talk about the pain?
Okay, yes, there was a funny memory. Here it goes. I also had braces on my teeth, and I had the night guard.
Oh, this is going to... Did the two get connected?
And I was like, one day I had curlers in my hair too, and I was playing the electric guitar.
Wait a second.
And I took the patch cord and I put it on my knee, and I received a radio station. I am not kidding. It really happened, or at least I think it did. I'm pretty sure it happened.
That's fantastic.
I think it did.
Oh, man. All right, so you get out of the braces, you get out of the back brace. No, but while you're in it, though, you meet Richard Pryor. You're 14 at the Troubadour. It's just at that point you had seen him on Merv Griffin?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was
So you
already a
realize
fan.
who you're meeting and you love his...
Yeah.
Okay, and was that the first famous comedian that you actually met at 14? Gotta be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, impactful.
God, yes. Yeah.
And I'm wondering if the thoughts at that point were, gosh, I'd like to do what you do someday yet, or no? Still not allowed to think like that?
I was already in, that was my trajectory, you know, whether I realized it or not, I was never someone that planned anything. It was just, you know, the inexorable direction that I was going in. When I was in high school, I had seen Marcel Marceau at Royce Hall. I saw everything that was available to me in LA, and there was great theater, great everything.
Right.
I often went to things by myself because I didn't have any friends that were interested in the same things that I was interested in. I did that with music, too.
Oh, yeah.
I went to the Ash Grove all the time, and the Experience up on Sunset, which was supposedly Jimi Hendrix's club, and all over. Saw so many great people. Blues, you know, Big Mama Thornton.
Wow.
Muddy Waters.
Holy crap.
Oh, yeah.
But Marcel Marceau strikes you such that, according to your dossier, you studied with him when you were 15 in Paris. Is that true?
You have studied my dossier.
Yes.
I see that you have studied it very well.
We have indeed, yeah.
Yes, I did study with him. It was a great experience.
Okay, then speak to the forever tradition in America of making fun of mimes, when it is, of course, this celebrated art form.
I know.
In
Well,
France.
here's the thing. When I saw it, it was a revelation for me, the idea of making people laugh without words.
Yeah.
And he was great. You have to, I mean...
I remember
you have
seeing
to-
him on television and being blown away, Ed Sullivan, what have you.
Yeah.
And thinking, this is, of course, I'm so young that I haven't had cynicism or sarcasm make its way to me yet. So the idea was, this is brilliant, brilliant artist. Yes, absolutely.
But, you know, even at that age, there was an aspect of the whimsy part did not appeal to me. I still had, you know, if you want to call it edgy or whatever you want to call it, that was really more me than the sweet stuff. So when
Right.
I saw people like Shields and Yarnell and the mimes that you'd see at the Renaissance Fair, I
Mom and
really,
Shots.
I wanted to cut their throats. I really,
Really?
didn't appeal to me at all. So I really tried to hide the fact
That you were studying mime?
Yeah, because, you know, and I don't know how I had the balls to do this, but I went backstage and I asked Marcel Marceau if there was anybody in LA that could teach mime, because I was 15 at the time. And he recommended someone, and that person who taught mime also taught improv. So that's the first time I learned improv.
Oh.
And so...
This is a life-altering experience.
Yes, so
backstage.
that's really when I started doing that kind of thing. And then I did the first improv show at our school. I directed it.
Holy crap. You organized it, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And this was from the teacher you met through?
Richmond Shepherd.
Richmond Shepherd.
Yeah.
Wow. Way cool. And so that's kind of a, I imagine, a focus-pulling experience for you. That is to say, in school, so much of your experience is about, am I popular? No, I'm not. Who's popular? They are. When you start to have sort of a self-motivated activity, such as this, and people start to glom onto it or find it equally as entertaining and interesting, it does sort of push you to the forefront of popularity for those people. Is this the first time you're experiencing that sort of thing, that popularity that comes along with being creative and being funny?
I think that, you know, because of the physical stuff,
Right.
I had just abandoned all hope for that kind of popularity.
Yeah, you had no chance.
But
In your mind. In your mind, you must have thought.
yeah, so, you know, I convinced myself that I didn't want it. That was my protective kind of, you know,
Then know it or
resolution.
not, this must have been a breakthrough.
Yeah,
in that
because
regard.
also at that point, you know, the brace was off. Everything was off.
Yeah.
And I was, you know, whoever I was going to be. But I was really interested in that. You know, most of my friends were guys.
Right.
So I wasn't in any cliques. I didn't have the girl drama stuff going on.
Right.
I wasn't in that group. I found my kind,
Yeah.
which we all do. I think, I'm sure you did too.
You seek them out.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, I mean, yeah, you do garner that kind of attention, and of course, it's what we covet. We want that kind of attention as a result of it.
Yeah.
And it was great.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably too young at that point to realize it's happening as it's happening, because who's ever really present for something like that? But it seems, when you were telling it, that it must have been sort of a breakthrough thing where you went into a new arena of what a performer ultimately thrives on, which is feedback from strangers.
Yeah.
So I imagine that must have been a big part of the experience for you. And then Cal Arts follows.
For a minute.
Did you also go for a minute? I went for a minute.
I went there because a friend of mine wanted to apply, and he needed an audition partner.
Really?
Yeah.
That's how it happened?
So I was the audition partner.
Oh, my God.
And so they offered me a spot there. So I thought, oh, what the heck?
This could, yeah.
So that's where I met Paul Rubens.
Oh, is that right?
I met Paul Rubens there, and then I left to do this improv workshop that Tracy was in,
Right.
and that's what eventually formed the Groundlings.
It became the Groundlings. Was Tracy, so Tracy, your sister, was involved in the founding of the Groundlings as well? Or
Yes.
She was?
Yes.
That's pretty great. Mm-hmm. It's also, what year is it that, I guess that would be like 73?
Yeah.
Yeah.
72, 73.
So it is interesting to me. Were there other, like, was the committee?
The committee
Was there anything else going on in terms of improv?
I remember seeing the committee when I was 16.
Right.
At the Tiffany Theater.
Sure.
And loving it.
Yeah.
You know, I never imagined that I would be friends with Howard Hessman years later.
Right.
And I remember also the credibility gap with Michael McKean and Harry Shearer. And I think Dave Lander wasn't in that group, was he?
I think so.
He was?
Yeah, I think
okay.
so.
And there was one other guy in that group, but I'm not sure I can remember his name. But they used to do those simulcasts of the Rose Parade on KRLA.
Oh, boy.
It was incredible. And I never imagined that one day I would know
Yeah,
Harry Shearer.
right.
I mean, when he came to SNL, I was like,
Uh-huh.
you know, because I'd seen them at the Ash Grove and grown up listening to them. And it was just, I just had a great education.
So
in
was
LA.
starting Groundlings a bit of a, I want to say focusing of
Yes.
not just your creativity, but also, you know, there's something about that moment in time in a person's life that when you're looking at it as research, that seems like, well, here's the first time that organization is meeting creativity. Because, you know, as your career goes on, there's that seems to be what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
The combination of whether it's commerce and artistry, or in this case, as I said, organization. Some sort of, let's remove all the obstacles and just create something, do our own thing, like we foolishly did here 2 years ago.
Yeah,
The
you
idea,
make your work.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And so it must have been a sense of that.
Yes.
Or should I just say, was it?
Well, you know, we had this little theater on Oxford in Hollywood, and it seated maybe 40 people. So there were times when there were more people on stage than in the audience.
That's hilarious.
But it was a great experience, and really, it was creating for the sake of it, just as what you described, yeah.
And as you're putting together the initial group that are the Groundlings, who, other than Tracy, is part of this initial group?
Well, Pat and Marita.
Pat Marita. So it's an eclectic.
Jack Sue.
Uh-huh.
Tim Matheson.
I'm sorry?
Valerie Curtin.
Tim Matheson.
Yeah. Yeah. These were the people in the workshop.
Tim Matheson, who became much more well-known for dramatic skills, but of course you remember him being funny in Animal House.
These were all people that were in this improv workshop.
Jamie, you remember Tim Matheson from the movie Fletch. He played the bad guy. So he's one of the founding members of the Groundlings. How about that?
Yeah. And there was a time when we actually had to decide our name. And there were two possibilities, the Groundlings or the Working Class.
Ah.
I thought the Groundlings made us sound like a bunch of hippies, so I voted against it. I was the only vote against the name of the Groundlings.
Well, you were right. The Groundlings was a horrible
It
name.
was stupid. It was really stupid.
And it thrives to this day, of course.
Yes.
So, wow, so that's 72, 73.
Yeah.
And then you're putting together monologues, as you said, characters in one. And so now you are focusing not just improvising, something you had picked up from the instructor, you said, but now you're becoming a writer as well. Were the characters you were writing for born from improv, or had you created them for the purpose of doing an original character in written sketch form?
Both.
Both, yeah.
Both. I think they'd always been something that I'd done off the cuff in conversation, and then I just focused them.
Yeah, that's where most material comes from, it seems.
And if you have a character, they always just write themselves. If you're really solid on them, if you know who they are, they just write themselves.
The Valley Girl must have been an example of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you had been around it for real.
Totally.
For reals.
Yeah.
And it must have just been through osmosis that you absorbed all the points of view, and then from a comedic standpoint, it seemed like you were one of the first with that character to do what became, and remains to this day, an evergreen.
An evergreen.
For comedic purposes.
Perennial.
No, but really, you know, I mean, the movie Clueless. I mean, so many to this day that it's and it continues to evolve with the next generation and how they speak.
I know, and it's there was an incredible story on NPR a while back about dialects, and how it's kind of pervasive across the country that almost everybody has a semblance of that speech, that there's a loosening of the jaw amongst a younger generation, that diction has just, gone by the wayside, and that you
enunciation is gone.
Yeah, that you can hear across the country that regional dialects are just going away.
Wow.
And you can hear it all over, which I find is really amazing. And I remember watching. There was this show, all right, I'll admit it, called the Fashionista Diaries. It was a reality show. And it took place in New York. And there was this girl who was a really mean, bitchy fashion editor, and she was trying to train these trainees, and she was really horrible to them. But she had like a cross between a Valley Girl dialect and Gloria Upson from Auntie Mame. I just squashed the ping pong ball, just squashed it to nothing. It was like a combination of both. She says, "What do you mean that your favorite couture is Juicy Couture? That's not a designer."
Oh my God.
But she was from New York. She was not from the Valley, but she talked like this. Totally like this. It was weird.
That tone is pervasive now in teenagers.
I know.
And it's one of the more obnoxious
I know.
sounds unless you're trying to be funny. But when they do it for real,
I know.
it's funny to just say, oh my God. But when you hear them do it and they mean it, you didn't just do that sincerely, did you?
Oh my God, you're so cute. You just look, you have everything I love, like a faux hawk. Oh my God, and good teeth. I just saw that on Jersey Shore today.
Yeah.
Verbatim.
Yeah. God bless the Jersey Shore.
Oh, yes. But, you know, when Groundlings were just, nobody knew who the Groundlings were when I went on SNL. They weren't established. They weren't like Second City, or they weren't like The Proposition, which is where Jane came from. So I got endless razzing from, you know, Chevy and John and Danny. He's like, what's that group you come from?
Well, be that as it may, were Lily and Lorne in tow the first time either of them saw you there?
Yes.
One of the research things says that they came together to see you.
Yes.
Right. And so Lily insisted that you be in the Lily Tomlin special,
Mm-hmm.
her television special on the ABC network,
Yes.
which must have been incredibly fun, because at that point she
Oh,
had
yeah.
to have been a mentor of yours, just
Oh, yeah.
as a fan.
Oh, yes.
She was it.
Totally.
Yeah. So speak a little bit about that experience, being brought in and almost mentored by a hero.
It
Because
was,
that's one of those moments in time that...
it was unbelievable. First of all, I met Rosie Schuster, I met Lorne, I met Valerie Bromfield, who had been Dan Aykroyd's partner
Right.
in Canada,
Right.
and one of the funniest people I'd ever seen in my life. I mean, one of those people who did characters that were so much better than anything I could ever do, that I couldn't even be jealous of her. Have you ever seen anybody
yeah.
who was like so much better than you that you could just worship them but not be jealous?
Yes.
I mean, I know it's hard for you to find people like that, Kevin, but really.
No, the
you know,
moment you meet them, you're right. The jealousy
like,
falls
you
away
know-
instantly, and you just have to literally bow.
it's like the croupier, I'm done.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that.
No, you're 100% right. Chris Guess, I just dropped to my knees and said, whatever you want, sir.
So, but also I noticed that Lily had this preternatural, or was that the word?
Sure.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Energy. Because it was a taping and it took for fucking ever.
Yeah, yeah.
And the audience was there, I'm not kidding, till 3 in the morning.
Jesus.
So she was entertaining them.
Oh, God.
And she stood out there and entertained them. One of the guests on the show was Catherine Coleman.
The Catherine Coleman?
The Catherine Coleman. How do you make that call? How do you call whoever represents her and say, you know, we'd like you to do the Lily Tomlin special. We'd like you, a televangelist, to be on a comedy variety show.
Yeah.
And how do you say yes to that?
And how does that agent not get fired
Yeah.
by
That's so interesting.
Miss Coleman?
She was so interesting.
Must have been. So
And
as,
Richard Dreyfuss was on it, too.
right. Was this your first television experience?
Yes, well, if you don't count Art Linkletter and Engineer Bill.
I don't.
I
Okay.
do. Please go.
No, I mean in terms of
Yes.
purposely being funny as opposed to
Yes.
what you must have been was cute
Well,
on those shows.
I was hired to do a Manhattan Transfer special. Joel Silver, who was Aaron Russo's assistant at the time, saw me in the Groundlings. He loved the Valley Girl character, hired me for the show. Aaron Russo saw the character and fired me.
Oh, nice.
And
What the hell?
Joel had to be the one to tell me, and I swear to God, I will always love Joel for this, because I could see the pain in his eyes
Right.
of having to break this news to me.
Well,
It was
here's
so
good
hard
news
him.
for you. He got really good at it.
I know. Yes, he
He
did.
became a superstar in the firing business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He trained on me.
Well, it's nice to know he had a
He did.
very sensitive side at one point.
He did.
All right, so from the Lily Tomlin thing, it's
They came back, saw me doing new material, new characters, and then Lorne said that he was doing this summer replacement show
which had to have sounded like
for The Tonight Show.
yeah,
13 weeks, that's all,
yeah,
with a 5-year option,
yeah,
you know.
like, 'cause that's going to happen.
That's what I thought, like
Yeah.
that'll ever happen.
A summer replacement show for the Tonight Show. So initially it was going to be on.
Yeah, during the summer. I mean, that's what he said, and
Right.
then it happened in the fall.
And also just once a week, whereas the Tonight Show was 5 nights a week.
Right.
So the whole thing was a ruse from the beginning.
Yeah.
But it meant, at that point, it meant going to New York and being part of a new show. And your dossier suggests that you didn't actually audition. You were just asked to join the group. Hello.
Yeah.
Pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
And so what are you thinking at that point? You uproot your life, leave your family in Los Angeles. We'd like you to move to New York and be a part of this summer thing because we think you're such a great sketch player.
Again, you know, I thought it would be a short period of time.
Right. But still, as just isolated as a pat on the back, as a career moment, or as a
I was
encouragement.
focused on the fear.
Yeah, were you?
I was focused on the fear of what was going to happen. I didn't know anybody.
Right.
Lauren was the only person I knew. I made friends with Gilda. She was my first friend. And then I met the people over at National Lampoon Radio, Harold Ramis,
Chris Guest.
Richard Belzer, Bob, God, what's his last name? Anyway, I did an album right away with them. And then
Once you got to New York?
Yeah. And then I met people on the show. And the car that I drove cross-country with my boyfriend that had everything I owned, including my material, was stolen.
Shortly after you arrived in New York,
Yes.
it was stolen.
And so I didn't have any of my material. And this was a day when there was no such thing as fax.
No.
You know, nothing. So
There's not even a floppy disk it could have been on. No.
So I had
Just
to write
papers.
to my sister and see if she had any copies of anything. It was...
That's devastating beyond belief. So, but also, basically, it's your life stolen in the car, other than your family.
I had the clothes on my back, literally. All my records.
And you must have been adopted at that point by someone. In other words, someone has to come to your corner in that situation and say, it's going to be fine, or no. Was there not someone who did
Well,
that?
I had my boyfriend, Arthur, yes.
So he wasn't freaking out?
No.
'Cause you must
he
have
had
been.
lived there before.
Okay.
But Lorne, you know, the writers didn't really know my work. They had never seen me, so Lorne had me audition for the writers.
Yeah, I read that and I thought that must have been fun for you.
It was really
You're hired, now
rough.
go into this room and perform
It
for
was-
these strangers
it
who were
was
maybe
rough.
the most cynical people you're about to meet, ever.
Yeah. And I did not do well.
Was Dwight Bell one of those writers?
Yeah.
Well, you must have laughed about it since.
Oh, we have.
Yeah.
We have, but boy.
They didn't understand the Valley Girl bit. Oh boy, did they not understand that.
I don't know if they did or not. I think they liked that character, but, you know, the the fact was that my performance was so bad because I was so scared.
You must have been scared out of your mind.
And I didn't have, you know, I didn't know any of this stuff verbatim. I had to, like, paraphrase it. 'Cause
You
I
had
didn't know.
written these monologues.
Yeah, but I didn't have them really...
Not
I
memorized
hadn't
at all.
done them in a long time.
Yeah, but my point was you had written them and they had been stolen in your car. So if
Right.
they weren't memorized, they no longer existed.
Yeah, I mean, I had done them, but I had done them a long time ago, so I didn't know them anymore.
Right. So now you're half making them up. Oy, oy.
Oh, it was ugly.
Yeah.
It was just ugly.
And that just
Kevin.
made the situation worse for
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
It undermined my credibility tremendously.
you. It must have.
It did.
Yeah. All right, I think it's time we invited some of our audience in. I just realized, literally, I had left them out of it after insisting what an important part of the show they were at the outset.
Jeepers.
Right? Part of the show here is that we like to bring them in, and I apologize to them. This one from, oh my, Travis Rink. Hello. Friend to you and me and the show from the Git.
He's on the other side of the wall.
And also happens to be on the other side of the wall at present.
Really?
Oh, yes, really. This comes from the other side of the wall.
Holy crow.
American Hot Wax was such a great film. How much research did you do for the role? And did you ever, in fact, meet or hear from Ms. Carole King? Great question.
The role I did not do any research, I'm embarrassed to say. I not only met Carole King, she was living with one of my closest friends, Phil Robinson. And she said that of all the depictions of her in any kind of movie, that was probably the most accurate of her experience, like at the Brill Building and the whole thing, which was great. I mean, that's what they wrote.
It speaks volumes to a couple of things. When she says that, first of all, as you said, you hadn't done any research. You, of course, knew her music. You'd seen her perform either on television or something, so you had a little sense.
But it was really a fictitious character. It was really...
Loosely based.
Yeah, it was loosely based. It was... there were a lot of young people, you know, young Jews, writing at the Brill Building. You know, Neil Sedaka, who's probably 16 also.
Wow.
I'm trying to think of some other people that were less known but were around that age too. But she was an exception. She was a prodigy, for sure.
Right.
But she was a prototype. I mean, I hope this isn't coming off like I'm like diminishing what she was, but I didn't know that much about her, to be honest with you, because I didn't buy her records.
Right.
But I respect her, you know, a lot.
Sure. So you had the script to go on in terms of your interpretation.
Yeah, but I also knew historically that that was a lot about what happened at the Brill Building in those days, that there was a lot of access for young people to write that kind of music.
Right.
And it was almost ironic that you had these young white Jewish kids writing for black artists.
Yeah. And yet kind of perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that your first film?
Well, Tunnel Vision. Was my
Tunnel Vision.
first film.
Yeah, oh man.
Tunnel
Again,
Vision.
I talk about those moments
God.
as a comedic person that was mind altering. Tunnel Vision was one of them.
Oh boy.
No, it really was. It was the first time in a movie, in my experience of being a fan of comedy, that suggested, much like a great deal of the film of the 70s that is looked back on now as a very special era for film and filmmakers. Dare I go down the list of the Scorseses and De Palmas, and it's endless. But in comedy, when Tunnel Vision came out, it waved a brand new flag as well. An avant-garde.
Interesting. I remember the auditions for that. Neil Israel said to the people auditioning, "This film will have something to offend everybody."
Right.
And I was 21, playing Billy Saluga's mother. He could have been my dad.
That makes sense.
And Ira Miller was my husband. And I love what we did. Our thing was called Sonia and Ramon, and it was the ultimate sitcom. You know, it was the gypsy family, and just, you know, the ultimate obnoxious, filthy, horrible sitcom family.
Wow.
You know, the opening scene is Ira steps in shit.
Literally.
You know, and then you hear the laugh track. You know, I mean, that was really pretty good.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Pretty great.
So, I mean, I look back on it because it was also kind of a comedy salad.
Yes.
In that sense. And there was a trend towards that, too, and it didn't always turn out so good.
No, it often doesn't turn out good when you put too many funny people in a thing. Yeah.
Because it's for the sake of it, and it's kind of slapped
It has no focus, has no direction, has no team leader, as it were.
But this had a focus.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you say you meet Gilda. She's one of the first people. Was there a sense in the beginning or soon after of, and you said they gave you some shit about what the hell is a groundling. Is there an early sense, you know how when you work on any sort of project, there's a sense of team, there's a sense of us. At some point, it becomes us almost against everybody out there. And I've always imagined that within those hallways of the launch of this show, before you're known as the not ready for primetime players. How soon before it starts to feel at all like a team? Does it have to air a couple of times, or is it in the actual building of it before it launches?
I think one of the things we were focused on was the fact that Howard Cosell had another show.
Yeah.
With the same sort of name and the same kind of rep company.
Right.
We were concerned about that.
Right. Because he was famous. Your show didn't have a famous person.
Yeah.
He was going to be the host, I guess, every week.
And there was question as to whether we could use the not ready for primetime players, or because he had something similar to that with his group. And he had, I think Chris Guest was in that group
Guest,
too.
I think Billy Crystal.
Yeah, really good people.
Yeah.
But we had no other sense of, we really felt anonymous. We felt like nobody was watching us. And if it was anything, us against anybody, it was against the network, just trying to get material through. But other than that, we felt anonymous and nobody was watching. So it was really more of kind of a secret club where, we were just kind of entertaining ourselves.
Right. And is it something that I've always sort of romanticized, because over the years I'd known people on the cast, and I would go and hang out and visit during the crazy late night sessions and whatnot. But I always imagined in the early days, before Lorne developed his brilliance of divide and conquer.
He always had it.
Was it from the get to create a little in-house competition in order to see who gets what on the air and what becomes the show?
I think he did want a rep company that knew each other's strengths in order to work together in a positive way, artistically.
Did he ever articulate those thoughts?
Well, he tried to do it physically by having us all do improv at his loft.
Right. I did read, and in fact, it was at the Sketch Fest that you and Danny talked a little bit about that, about the birth of the Coneheads, that you were just screwing around one night at the loft, doing the voices.
That lasted a couple of, I don't know. I think we went there twice. That was it. That was it. It just didn't.
Everyone come by the loft and just have some fun.
It didn't gel. That was about it. And
I'm guessing early on, Belushi said something like, "This is bullshit," and walked out.
I don't remember whether or not he did that. He was pretty cooperative.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact that Lorne, patrolled the hallways and walked into the writers' rooms and tried to make sure that there was something written for everybody. I know that he did that because I saw him.
Right.
So I think that even though the divide and conquer, inclusion, exclusion thing was always kind of there, it developed over time.
Well, I would think it would develop organically from the beginning, because there is only so much material that's going to get into the show. So just by very nature of the setup, there's going to be a competition among writers first.
But it was a meritocracy, and whatever worked best at dress rehearsal is what went in the show.
Wow.
Period.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't it be that way? Any good producer would do it like that.
Right. But because rehearsal's in front of the live audience, so you're going to find out exactly what's what.
Mm-hmm.
And, oh my. So, how about that first one?
Well, we didn't know what we were doing. And you can tell. I mean, the format is just so odd.
Yeah, there's an awkwardness that's kind of beautiful now. But there's an awkwardness.
And there were so many good sketches that were cut. We had Alexander the Great's high school reunion.
Oh, that sounds hilarious.
Yeah, on that show, and they cut it. More sketches, and it ended up less sketches.
Right.
Which is such a shame.
Yeah.
And George Carlin was Alexander the Great.
Oh, Jesus.
damn.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, there must have been a sense of that on a weekly basis in terms of, oh, there's another one that's not going to make it that I love dearly.
Such good stuff too.
Are there writers that are who's the first, or what was the first sense, the first memory of a writer who might have been looking out for you, or at least getting what you were doing? Because The Valley Girl eventually makes it on air and is embraced.
I think Tom Schiller totally got me.
Right.
Michael O'Donoghue. Also, I think, there were times when I would see what was being written, would try to insinuate a character of mine in there, and then help write the dialogue for that one.
Right.
But there were a lot of, characters that I brought from the Groundlings that, I could have in sketches, and they would do very well in the sketch, but then I didn't want to repeat them because I felt that that was kind of hack.
Yeah.
I
Well, that
didn't wanna
came
be
from
a
the
hack.
Groundlings, I'm sure. The sense of not.
I felt like it was kind of like made it commercial.
Interesting.
And
Because
it was
it became
so dumb.
It became the ones that were repeated ad nauseum.
I know.
But there's something about the true heart of an artist that says to repeat this would be to try to exploit it.
Yeah, I just kept wanting to do new stuff, and
Right.
that really was dumb.
Well,
Because-
dumb only in retrospect, but at the time you're thinking, how can we make this better?
I suppose, yeah.
You must have been.
They showed that sketch at the Sketchfest thing. They showed the character of Alice with Fran Tarkenton, and that was a Groundlings character. And it was so, her monologue is in a book called Titters. And it so reminds me of a character that Kristen Wiig would do, because this character is someone who would take mundane events and, make a grandiose assessment of them. It's very subtle stuff, but I imagine if it had been repeated, I think the audience would have gotten it.
No,
But
I remember. I remember the sketch now that you mention it from them showing it at Sketchfest, and that was one of the things that went through my mind was: is this a character I missed that became a runner? And it sounds like you're saying you weren't really into that at all.
I should have repeated that character because I think people would have gotten it.
Yeah. Well, there was subtleties to it in terms of
But
the construct.
So it's the format of the show. When I watched the first season when they first released it on DVD, I was like, oh God, and it was there was a lot of hit and miss, and boy, a lot of stuff that. This is how I assessed it. You look at the Olympics from 50 years ago, and it's like, boy, that gymnast can do 2 somersaults.
Oh, yeah.
And then you look at the Olympics now, and it's, boy, that gymnast can do 5 somersaults.
Yeah.
And that's really how it looks to me. It's like, look at what we could do then, and how we remember it.
Right.
And now it's like, boy, it's not that funny, it isn't to me.
Well, there's no question that.
Some things are timeless, some things still make me laugh.
But very few.
But
You're not
there's
wrong.
a lot that
and I
is
guarantee
not
you, when they
funny.
watch the shows that are
Oh,
on
God.
now, 20 years from now, they're going to feel the same way. First of all, there's an essence and a sort of unspoken reality for comedy, which has much to do with the time that it is created and performed and enjoyed. Mm-hmm. Doesn't have to be dated material, doesn't have to be topical material, doesn't have to be about this horrific thing going on in Japan.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It just has to do with a sensibility. Mm-hmm. And the sensibility of 1975 can only be appreciated by the people in 1975.
Right.
So, yeah, I think you're right. There's a sense when you watch it, there's a romantic version in your head of, man, we were funny as hell. This is going to be great. Honey, come on. This is the first season. What the hell is this?
Yeah.
Because you yourself have evolved and all of your sensibilities beyond that, too.
Yeah.
I do remember, though, there was an electricity about it for the people, for those of us at home watching this thing happening live from New York. There was an electricity, and I think there's a genuine curiosity for the people who've been fans forever, three of which are in this room now, growing up and being fans no matter what generation. That electricity of putting on a show live in the theater is one experience, and then live television, which for all intents and purposes doesn't really exist other than a talk show, and in the back of your mind, even on a talk show, you know, well, if this goes horribly fucking wrong, we can stop tape.
Mm-hmm.
New to New York, lost everything, car stolen, all these things building up to the first live show. I can't imagine, other than being a natural, that it's anything but nerve-wracking, and you can't really even enjoy it until it's over. That would be my...
Well, you know, we were all kind of in the same boat. I mean, not specifically, but we all had the same responsibilities. Nobody had more to do than anybody else.
Right.
So I don't really think that... and also, you know, you can't really be aware of, well, there's 5 million people watching us because, you know, it's a studio with little cameras and 300 people in the studio.
Everyone that's in the audience is the only audience you're aware of.
Right.
For sure.
You don't really have that global sense.
But
you
that,
never do.
Right, but it's made clear to you, I'm sure, through the pressures, whether it's Lorne or a stage director or whoever, these are your cameras, these are your marks, those are the cue cards, here's what happens when we do it live.
But remember, all of us come from sketch comedy.
Used to being live on stage.
All of us come from be here when the lights come up, run back when the lights go out, change your costume really quickly, and then be here when the lights come up. We all came from that.
So you all had a comfort zone with that.
It was just a bigger distance.
Right.
You know.
And they were big,
and the
clunky
cameras were a little different, but we'd done the blocking.
Right.
You know, the cue cards were different too. We all had to learn how to look like we were not reading. And that was a learning curve.
That people suffer with to this day. There are very few people who get that. Very few. It's an art form all to itself. I remember thinking, I don't think anyone gets this. Or there's no way, first of all, everybody wants to be off book, obviously.
Sure.
But then they're changing between dress
It's
and
impossible.
live, which sketches, and then they're rewriting up to the last second.
Yeah.
So it literally becomes impossible. And at some point, it seemed, as a fan, as a lifelong fan, I'm rooting for people, just read the cards. Don't go from the cards to the actor. Just stay on the cards the whole time. And then you'll see, sometimes I'll see Bill Hader in the cast now looking right at the cards and thinking, he gets it. He's looking right at the cards. Oh, wait a second. He's looking right at the cards. You know what I mean? So it's almost like there's no way to win here.
Yeah. Well, but if you do it in update, you're supposed to, because that's your focus. You're in one.
Right.
You know, and there's nothing wrong with that. Your character is almost bound to do it.
Right.
You can cheat it that way.
Yeah.
God, I love him.
Bill Hader.
Oh, God,
yeah, he's
so good.
He's about as good as anyone gets at that. At also the obscure nature of some of the characters. When he does Alan Alda, and he does these really strange...
Vincent
Price. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And he's so young,
And Vinny Videlci.
I know.
Yeah, he's spectacular. So it's easy for you to watch the show now and love it when it's good.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, yes.
I love the show. I've always loved it. There were long times when I didn't watch it just because I had small children.
Right.
And, you know, I don't think I had TiVo. Once there was TiVo, then I went back to watching it.
Right. I want to get a little sense of... oh, you know what? We've had a couple of questions come in. I wanted to get to these, one of which there was so much not said about Live from New Orleans.
Oh, my
over the years.
gracious.
Now, I don't know if you've been, if you've had to sign documents that said you're not allowed to talk about this, but to our understanding, no one really has talked in detail or rather, we haven't heard enough. I guess some people have talked in detail about it, but there's still a sense of what the hell really happened.
Well, you know, for the longest time, with regard to just the parade, I had always been told that the parade stopped. You know, it was supposed to go past where Jane and Buck were so that they could comment on it. And it never arrived.
Interesting.
And I had always been told until February of this year that it was because someone died on the route and they had to stop it. Danny told me that Lorne pissed so many people off.
They rerouted? No. You just found this out? That's fantastic. Oh my
Isn't
God.
that tasty?
That's delicious.
Isn't that
They
tasty?
rerouted.
Yeah, they fucked him.
The city of New Orleans got together and said,
fucked him.
oh my God.
That's according to Danny, yeah. That's what
Well, that's
happened.
something Danny would...
Because he just pissed so many people off.
Why would Danny share that unless it were in fact?
I don't know, but I tell you, we had so much fun. More fun than we had a right to have.
Well, apparently you
It
had too
was
much
just-
fun, as
yeah.
the story goes.
Yeah, but I mean, it was, technically we tried to do things that nobody had ever done before.
Right.
And we just weren't set up to do it, and I think just so many things went wrong.
Right. But what did you care? You were having a great time.
God, yes. I mean, Gilda and I, during rehearsals, we were forgotten. We were at one location and just forgotten. We were somewhere for 4 hours, left. No water, no food, you know. I mean, we had fun. We were laughing our asses off because we were making each other laugh. But we were, you know, and they no cell phones.
No.
No, 1970-something.
Yeah.
Just, they forgot us.
We had, if I may, we had Sherry O'Teary, I believe she says correctly pronounced, on the program. I remember she told a story, just a little snippet of a story, about how when her first season, she felt like she wasn't getting any sketches on the air, and the writers weren't giving her anything, and so she went to Lorne, and Lorne's response was, you know, Gilda made the writing staff cookies. Maybe you could bake them something? And I just blew my mind.
Wow.
Like, that's really his... Now, you were there. Does that sound maybe like something he might have said?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you know, that's certainly not why they wrote for her.
Right. At least I hope not.
That's an interesting way to get someone out of your office.
That's a creative way to get someone out of your office.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gilda would make them brownies, off you go.
Mm-hmm. Toddle along. Jeez. Yeah, but he's, you know, he's found some really great ways to get people to leave his office without getting what they want.
Yeah.
He's a master at that. Feeling great and not realizing that they didn't get what they wanted.
Right. Someone, I'm trying to think who it was now, wrote that recently, that he was an absolute master out of not addressing the issue and undermining your efforts to, it's like someone called him out on something, and he was able to say, yeah, I'm just not, and then you would come into his office and make some comment, some statement, some lack of appreciation, and he would find a way to get you to leave, and by design, almost. Like, it wasn't until years later that people were able to look back and go, holy
Hey,
shit.
what the?
Yeah.
What just happened?
He was brilliant at getting people to get out of his office and more importantly, out of his face on whatever the hell their problems were.
But happy because you thought you got what you wanted.
That's the
That was the
genius.
thing.
That's the evil power.
Well, you know, I've known Lorne since he was 28, and I met him at the Chateau Marmont when he and his wife Rosie were breaking up.
Oh boy.
And I remember him. There used to be this strange character who worked the switchboard, and he would answer the phone, Chateau. And Lorne said he would come in, you know, from working or whatever it was he was doing, and he was so depressed and he was so lonely, and he'd see the switchboard lit up, and this guy would be reading a book,
Oh my God.
not, paying attention. And Lorne said he would be thinking, one of those calls could be for me.
Yeah, exactly.
So I knew that Lorne too.
Oh, wow, yeah. Yeah. Well, he certainly has always had a gift at finding talent and somehow nurturing writers and talent to work together in his own masterful way. So, so much has been written about his being a genius at dividing and conquering, but the success rate and percentage of his batting average is insane beyond belief.
Yeah.
Don Novella was also on the Sketchfest panel, and boy, it was great to see him. And I think you guys sort of realized on the stage that night that Don Novello made more guest appearances or something.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That was great.
Mathematically, it made sense.
That was a very writer-centric panel, which was so gratifying
Tom
to
Davis,
me. Pardon me, I don't know why my throat is so...
I'm trying to arrange a
Old
cup
lady.
of tea. Do you have a preference?
Just anything herbal.
Anything herbal?
Anything herbal.
Not
fly it
because
in.
I'm a hippie, but I don't need the caffeine.
That's what I was doing. I wasn't texting just texting them.
For those of you watching or listening later, it is still 41 degrees here in the studio.
I think I actually got the heat to work
Okay.
for a minute. Feels on.
Thank you.
I'll give it.
But I thought it was so great that people finally associated a face with, like, the cheeseburger sketch.
Yeah.
And
Right.
that people knew that Tom really was, Tom and Danny wrote Coneheads. I don't think people knew that Tom wrote the Coneheads with Danny.
I don't think so either.
And the Final Days, that sketch, which is
yeah.
so, I mean, that was great for Tom to experience a live audience of that size.
Yeah.
Acknowledging him.
That's
and
sketch
Don.
Yeah, and Don too. Yeah, that you were pointing out that, or maybe Dan was pointing out that Don Novello, otherwise known as Father Guido Sarducci to much of the audience, had written the Cheeseburger.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. And there was a couple of others they mentioned that he had written. Jamie, you might remember that were sort of
The
classic.
Failing Shopping Mall, the Scotch Tape Boutique.
Oh, the Scotch Tape. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the sense of Franken and Davis also was pretty fun in terms of the mischievous two.
Yes.
Oh my.
Yeah. Al Franken had a really interesting evolution in his writing too. He aspired to write more actual relationship stuff. Like, he admired a lot of what Marilyn Miller wrote. And so he wrote scenes like some of the stuff that I did with Dick Benjamin. And I'm trying to think if he wrote the thing I did with Fran Tarkenton. I'm not sure. But he really made departures. He made an effort to grow a lot in that way.
Ultimately wrote the deeply moving drama When a Man Loves a Woman.
Yeah.
Meg Ryan and
Andy
Garcia.
Yeah.
People forget that Al Franken wrote that. But you talk about writing about relationships, my God.
Yeah.
He also wrote Stuart Saves His Family.
Speaking of relationships.
Exactly. I love that movie.
As do I.
I just think it's so funny.
I agree. J-Mac with, yeah, come on in, buddy.
Hey, come
Jamie
on in
and
with the
I'll
tea
fill.
service.
Will you just jump in there?
Coming on the backside. Yeah, there you go.
Thank you
Oh, we're
very
filling.
much.
How often do I
So
get
how
to
we
say
filling?
that
I
anymore?
think we're filtering.
It's a
Hey, he's on
wraparound,
camera.
ladies and
Jason
gentlemen.
McIntyre.
Jason McIntyre, ladies and Jews. Bring those
Thank you,
songs
Jason.
together. He's here all day.
Filling out that
I
sweater
cannot
nice, my
believe
friend.
this. I'm losing my
Yeah.
voice.
No, please. I'll do some talking. It's 41 degrees. It happens.
Yeah.
From the chat room, Lady Diode. Has anyone decided there's a different way to say that?
No, I think we've got it right.
All
Lady
right.
Diode.
Lady Diode for Laraine. How insane was it working with Devo on We're All Devo? We're all Devo?
Insane.
Question mark. No, that's a question because the whole thing's a question. So there's that one to choose from, as well as from Ms. Jazz. There are a lot of additional voices credits for the animated films that you've done on IMDb. Do you have favorites? Yeah, we'll talk about the voice game, because boy, is that a career for anyone who dives in head first.
Fun.
Yeah.
So fun.
And you talk about playfulness. You talk about removing yourself from scrutiny, more or less, and just being in the sandbox It's nothing but fun.
I know.
I assume.
Well, I'm sure you know too.
I don't actually. I'm envious.
Well,
Have a sip, and we'll think about the Devo portion,
I cannot
too.
believe this. Losing my voice on the air.
No, it's perfect.
The Devo thing, well,
We're also coming up on 100 minutes, by the way, so don't feel like it's only been 10.
do you edit this?
No.
Oh.
Don't be silly. Don't be silly. That would suggest some sort of production value.
I dated Mark Mothersbaugh for 3 years.
Interesting point.
And so, Insane on We're All Devo, it was business as usual.
Really?
So I can't really say it was insane. But you know, I actually have no memory. I watched that video recently and realized, gee, I have no memory of shooting that.
That can only mean one of two things.
It's both, probably.
You had, in fact, been elsewhere.
Possibly.
Let's leave it at that, shall we?
Meditating.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's what we'll call it. Mm-hmm. Mommy's meditating.
That's right.
Yeah. You need to go in the other room. Then yeah, let's talk about the voiceover stuff, because it is, like I said, the ultimate sandbox for creative people. You don't have to deal with a live audience, first of all, or any sort of audience. You really are asked to go in and play with others, or is a lot of it just solo stuff?
The best shows you're playing with others. The first series I got was a show called Hysteria. And it was one of the last Warner Brothers cartoons that had the big productions, you know, with the big orchestra, original music.
Wow.
This was who was in the first series I ever did. Frank Welker.
Wow.
You've had Billy West on here,
Yes.
right? Billy West, Rob Paulson, Maurice LaMarche.
Oh boy. All the hitters.
Yeah. Fred Travellino.
Sure. May he rest in peace.
Why am I forgetting? Oh, Jeff Bennett. Oh, Christ.
It's okay.
Girl. Oh, Tress MacNeille.
Tress MacNeille.
So that's my first series. These are the people I'm working with on my first series.
Killers, all of them.
Yeah. And then we'd have guest stars like Buddy Hackett and
yeah.
Adam West.
Oh boy.
You know,
So this is nothing but fun.
Oh my God, yeah.
And you got
then
hooked.
little old me. Well, yeah, it was a privilege.
Yeah.
And I auditioned for a long time, for probably 2 solid years, and then it just opened up, and I've been working at it ever since. And it's a great job.
In the research, it suggests that it had been a couple of years struggle in terms of auditioning, because there's so many people that want to do this for a living. The competition is fierce. But then you found out about a voice instructor.
Charlie Adler.
Charlie Adler.
Yeah.
And that's when...
And Chris Zimmerman. She was also the teacher with him.
Mm-hmm.
But Charlie, you know, he's like Mel Blanc. And he directs too, but he's a brilliant guy. And he really made the difference in my ability. And
opened up the world of just getting jobs.
well, I don't know that any director or teacher can do that, but they help you to know what you can do and stretch your abilities. And he certainly did that.
Strengthen in the areas that need it the most.
Yeah.
In order to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to continue to try.
Yeah.
It's that kind of focus, though, I think, that makes the difference.
Yeah, it was the perfect job for people with young kids. Because you go there for a couple hours, you act stupid, you get paid, and you go home.
Wow.
And you're home for dinner. And it was perfect. And it was something that was meaningful to them, too.
Right.
Because, you know, the SNL stuff, they don't think I'm funny. You know, Amy Poehler's funny. And
Your
Kristen
mom.
Wiig are funny.
Yeah.
Your mom, you
Yeah.
know. So,
But when they're really young, yeah, you could do something in an animated series, and there'd be an immediate effect of, that's
Yeah,
mommy's voice, and this character is fun. And
mm-hmm.
well, what an amazing thrill for you as a performer, but also as a mother. That combination is ridiculously rare.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll hear actors interviewed saying, well, I think Johnny Depp originally on the Pirates of the Caribbean said, I have a young daughter, and this is a chance for her to see me do something. And, you know, at some point, that has to factor in.
Yeah, every time you see a prestigious actor doing something in that vein, you know it's because they've got kids.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, that's the reason.
Right.
And it's great. It just kind of humanizes them.
It's an amazing bonus. From Facebook, which I believe you're on. You're on the Facebook.
I'm on the Facebook, Kevin.
Do you have memories you'd like to share in working with Bob and Ray? On Bob and Ray, Jane, Laraine, and Gilda. That must have been pretty magical.
Oh, my goodness. Well, it was a long time ago.
From Steve Strum, I should point
Okay,
out. Sorry.
Steve, thank
Give him
you.
credit.
Thank you for your question, Steve.
Yeah. Thank
Well,
you,
I
Jamie,
do
as well.
remember that we did a sketch about shoelaces.
Sure, who
The
wouldn't?
shoelace repair or something like that, which, you know, Bob and Ray were about minutia. And that was what was so funny to me about them. So it was just a privilege. And I also remember that we did do this song, Do You Think I'm Sexy? Which was the Rod Stewart hit.
Sure.
So we got to sing with them.
Oh.
But God, they were great guys. They were just so decent and so sweet and so funny.
And the third generation of Bob Elliott would be
I know, his daughter.
granddaughter.
The granddaughter.
Abby.
Yeah,
Abby Elliott.
And she's
Chris,
good.
Yeah.
She's
Chris's
very good.
daughter.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
I know.
Yeah. Do your daughters have any aspirations in the
The
funny?
19-year-old is very funny.
Mm.
She, as we discussed, she's friends with Jake Reiner.
Right.
And he got her involved in an improv class when they were 15.
Okay.
It was an improv stand-up class for teenagers. And so my daughter was doing stand-up at the improv at 15.
What the?
And she's good. She's really good. And so I let her do it for a while. We let her do it for a while. But then her grades were kind of, you know, not what they should be, so we didn't let her do it in her senior year.
Mm-hmm.
Now she's a sophomore in college in New York. And she's a literature major. I don't know if she's doing comedy or not. She will not tell us.
Oh, she won't, will she?
No.
Uh-huh.
But I do know that she is extremely funny, and she will not tell us if she wants to be a performer or not, probably because she thinks I'll kill myself. But
well, now, wait a second. I seem to recall earlier in
I
this
don't care what you
particular
kids do as long as you don't go into
show business. Yeah.
And then the 15-year-old has done all-star competitive cheer.
What? Wow.
Yeah, bring it on.
Wow.
I'm not kidding.
And you've been present and witnessed these goings on.
I was a cheer mom.
I'll say.
Going to the competitions in Palm Springs.
Oh, my God.
Where else did we go?
Rancho Cucamonga.
Yes, that's right.
Everyone goes to Rancho Cucamonga.
Yeah, it was amazing. She's a real hardcore athlete. She's the kind of cheer you see on ESPN.
Sure.
That's the kind.
Yeah.
she
No,
does.
it's not fun and games.
No,
No.
it's no kidding.
So that's got to make you feel pretty magical as the kids get that focused on something that makes them.
Yeah, I love that my kids have passions.
Right.
It's
That's all you can hope for, I think.
absolutely.
Just be passionate about something, please.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's, yes, devoutly to be wished.
Because there leads disappointment and happiness. But
Exactly.
If you're passionate.
If you have a focus.
Right. Let's prepare you for a couple of things, Miss, as we hit the 110 minute, coming up on 2 hours. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Is the tea helping a little?
It is. My voice is back.
All right.
It's back.
We suggested to you that you might be enjoying a little thing we like to call the Twitter game. Do you dare at this point?
Oh, what the hell?
Let's bring it on.
Bring it on.
Sammy, it's been far too many weeks. We've missed you. We love you. It's time for...
Who tweeted? Roll that intro. Oh, we got a little thing.
Who tweeted?
Oh, it's good to be back.
Welcome back, one and all, to Who
Isn't
Tweeted,
it?
starring our very own Sam Levine.
Come on.
Sammy, what do you got?
I got some tweets.
Do you?
I got some killer tweets here. Now, we briefly discussed this before. Your 3 possible authors for these tweets.
Okay.
Tyra Banks, Paris Hilton, Justin Bieber. I'm sure, having the teenage girls, you're very familiar with all 3 of these.
I am.
Okay. Then
America's
I think
Next Top Model. Yeah, we watch it.
You'll do very well at this game. So here's how it works. There's 8 total tweets. I will read a tweet, and then at the end of it, you and Kevin will buzz in. Whoever buzzes in first, I'll call and you buzz in by saying your name or making some noise that I know it's you, because I'll just be looking at this. I can't tell your voices apart. And then I will point to you, and you will have 3 seconds to say Tyra, Paris, or Bieber.
Okay.
You get it right, you get yourself 5 points. Buzz in, you get it wrong, you're going to lose 3.
Ooh.
This being a competition, if only there was some sort of prize available to the winner.
Yeah, for crying out loud.
How about cold hard cash?
What the hell?
That's right. I don't want to show the serial numbers too close on the camera, lest people think they can... I don't know what that does, but... Why aren't we allowed to show the serial numbers? It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
You mean like 555 Klondike 5?
Yes.
All right.
Klondike 5.
So we're playing for cold hard cash.
$20.
$20 at stake to the winner. There are 8 questions. They begin with...
Just filmed a PSA for our troops and military families. I have so much love and respect for them all.
Bieber. Laraine. Bieber.
Sorry, no.
Oh,
fuck.
What?
I mean, heck.
That's the perfect response, by the way.
That is correct. That response. Unfortunately, that was Paris.
Paris?
Wow.
Paris.
Performing for the troops, Paris?
Yes.
She filmed
What
a
are you
PSA.
suggesting, Kevin?
A rabbit can talk?
What? Yes, and she likes the rabbit on her nothing.
All right, go.
All right.
Question number 2.
Tweet number 2. 0 gravity plus my stomach equals not so good. LOL.
Tyra? Laraine. Tyra?
Sorry, no.
Well, I would
Oh
have said
my God,
Tyra,
I am
too.
batting 1,000 here.
Consistency is all we really care about at this point.
Yes.
That would have been the Bieber.
That's the Bieber?
What?
It's the Bieber.
That
0
is
gravity
so-
for the
he
little-
is
for the
a
young
woman.
Bieber?
He's a woman.
Oh, well, sure.
He's
Wow.
a lesbian, right?
He's Canadian.
Oh.
I'm sorry, Sam.
No, I get those 2
I'm
confused.
sorry.
Lesbian and Canadian the same in my brain.
Wait a minute.
I love Canadians.
We've gone off the rails.
I do.
Tweet number 3.
Tweet number 3. Just ending the night. My prayers go out tonight to the people of New Zealand. God bless.
Kevin, Tyra.
Sorry, no.
Oh! We are solid 3 for 3.
Laraine Bieber?
That is correct, but unfortunately I
I
can
can't-
award you no points.
I
Yeah,
can't do
it's
it?
yeah.
Oh, okay,
once
because
we
one
get
has
the-
been eliminated.
But it feels good to get one right, doesn't it?
Yes,
That
it
was the
does.
Bieber.
So,
You were right. That was the Biebs.
It feels good to get one right. What does it feel like?
Oh, well, I'll tell you later.
Well, now it's just a 3-point deficit. Anyone's game. Tweet number 4. Accidental peep into men's bathroom and see urinals. Kind of make me want to gag a bit.
Kevin, Paris.
It's a tie game at -6.
Yeah! Yeah!
That would have been Tyra.
Awfully funny if that was Bieber.
Tyra Banks.
That would have been comedy.
What is so, I mean,
What's the matter with us?
what a sissy. I mean, a urinal, for crying out loud.
It's Tyra Banks. She is
Jeez.
afraid of dolphins. Unnaturally afraid of dolphins.
Because they're smarter.
She's calling undue attention to herself.
Tweet number 5. At Avalon, watching Usher perform.
That's it?
Afraid so.
Kevin Bieber. That Usher found Bieber, made him a star.
I've got good news.
We got one right.
Oh, he's got one right.
You are in the lead.
I am.
I'm afraid that was Ms. Paris Hilton.
Oh,
A trick question,
close
Jamie.
that
Nice
money
work.
by default. I love winning by default.
Only once
The
before.
2 sweetest words in the English language. Default. Default.
Only once before have the guest and
Technicality.
Gotten nothing correct.
I
Yeah.
gotten them all incorrect.
Technical KO.
It's okay.
We're looking for a TKO here. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
One-
you're up -6 to -9.
That's right. It's a battle of the worsts. Tweet number 6. Met Bruce Weber at dinner tonight at the Sunset Tower Hotel. Love his work. He's such an amazing photographer. He's so nice and sweet, too.
Kevin
Laraine,
Paris.
Tyra.
Oh, controversy.
Wait a minute. Who rang in first? Kevin rang in first? And you said?
Kevin Paris, I said.
That is correct.
Really? She knows who Bruce Weber is?
I know, that's the only...
How can she? Oh, my God.
Woo! All right, so
Wow.
it's back
You're
to
good.
minus 6 to minus 5.
Wow.
Minus
didn't-
4.
Minus...
Paris,
Yeah,
I hardly
minus
knew
4.
you.
You were minus 4 to Lorraine's minus 6. Truly anyone's
Wow.
game.
It really is. How exciting. As we climb from the deficit of negative.
This is bracing.
Tweet number 7.
Oh, I got chills. Oh, wait, it's 40 degrees.
Was watching The Hangover again. Yeah. We all know Bradley Cooper's hot, but he can act his ass off. Don't
Laraine,
get distracted
Tyra.
by his face.
Laraine, Tyra.
That is correct.
Oh, lovely.
So I get how
boy.
many points?
Plus 5.
You're gonna get your. Now you're only minus 1.
Minus
to Kevin's
1.
minus 4. Oh, you're in the lead again. The 8th
And eighth and final question.
and final question.
And it's a anyone's ball game.
Unless, of course, there's a tie.
I pull this out, and I am negative. I'm plus 1.
Yeah.
Oh, so whoever answers this correctly wins.
Pretty much. Unless, of course, you ring in and get it incorrectly, in which case we have a tie.
We have a tie. Yeah.
Ooh, then we have to do a tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Which we have.
We have one.
Or we
loaded.
could tear the bill in half.
You could.
Atta girl.
Whoever gets 51% of that bill is in luck.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
Here it is.
Tweet number 8.
Thank you to the ladies of At The Talk CBS for giving me one of the greatest surprises of my life. Still in shock.
Kevin Tyra.
Ladies and gentlemen, our winner and champion, Miss Laraine Newman!
All
Justin
right.
Bieber, my friend. Justin Bieber.
Justin Bieber said the
Wow.
ladies of the talk gave him the greatest
Oh
fame.
my God! And
Well
and, you
played.
know,
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Well lost.
No.
Thank you,
Well
Sammy.
played. My absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Well
This
done.
was so
Well done.
fun. Oh my God.
Quickly, or not so quickly, but Amy Efren, your longtime friend, got you involved in One for the Table. You're now a contributing editor to this food magazine?
Yes, it is Food, Love, and Politics. But it's people basically writing, people who don't write about food, writing about food.
How much fun is that?
It's great.
Yeah.
And I guess that the both of you really like
We're
food.
foodies.
You're foodies.
We're crazy foodies.
We're foodies.
I eat all food.
Yeah, me too. And so it's really been great because a lot of the performance that I'm doing now has come from some of the things that I wrote for that blog.
That's nice. That you're writing and thereby getting inspired by your own musings to the point where, ooh, this is good. I want to perform some of this. You were mentioning before we went on, Santa Monica Playhouse is playing into the future, as you have written a couple of pieces that you're going to perform, and those were inspired by things you wrote for One for the Table.
Well, no, both of them are pieces that I've written that come from a book that I wrote that is in a drawer. But just the act of writing, and some of the things that I did write from there have been performed previously in other shows.
Oh, yeah?
Nice. And also I've been doing Celebrity Autobiography. Have you ever seen that show?
Tell me more.
Do you guys know about that show?
It's a wonderful show. They did it at Sketchfest this year, right? Were you part of it?
I did the Friday night. I couldn't do Saturday night. But I'm doing it this Sunday at the Broad.
This
Mario
Sunday, as in a week
Cantone,
from tonight or tonight?
a week from tonight.
Okay. Mario Cantone.
Mario Cantone, Julian Sands,
Wow.
Debbie Mazur, Ileana Douglas. Oh, God, I'm going to forget something.
Tell us what it is.
It is readings from celebrities' autobiographies, but not just any celebrities.
The most
It's-
cheesy?
Well, I don't want to say that, Kevin.
I'll say it. The most cheesy?
Ones that shouldn't have written autobiographies.
There you go.
There we have it. Cheesy is not the word.
Meet my proxy.
We're looking for more humorous than cheese anyway.
Yes, it's.
So who's the last one you read? Do you remember? Oh, the
I
last.
read Hedy Lamarr.
Oh, you always do.
I've read all of the ones that are in the show. I've read Lonnie Anderson,
Oh.
Elizabeth Taylor,
Hello.
the poetry of Suzanne Summers.
Say it again.
the poetry of Suzanne Summers.
Good God, y'all.
I've read Joan London.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else have I read? Wow. Oh, I've read Burt Reynolds' assistant.
Rhoda.
It's Rhoda. Every assistant is named Rhoda. Did you know that? It is. I can't remember her name. It's like Helen Owen Carey, but it's
the
not.
assistant
it's
wrote
a
a
three
book?
name. Yes, she did.
Oh, my.
And this is what's great about it. The guy who created it, Eugene Pack, and his wife Del Riffel, they both created this show. And what he does is almost like a mashup, where he takes the autobiography of Lonnie Anderson, Burt Reynolds, and this assistant, and it's an account of the same incident.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
And he does that with Elizabeth Taylor, Eddie Fisher, and Debbie Reynolds.
Where can people go to find out when they can see this?
They can go to the Celebrity Autobiography website.
Okay.
And that has a schedule, because it plays all over the country with different casts.
Please check this out, people.
Yeah.
This sounds like magic.
Yeah.
And you're doing the next one here in Los Angeles next Sunday?
Yes.
All right. Where's that?
The Broad. It's the Broad Theater in Santa Monica at 11th and Santa Monica.
All right. I can't thank you enough, honestly.
Thank you for asking me. It was so much fun.
It was something that came about on a whim, and I was thrilled to death that it was even possible, and now it has happened, and I am most pleased.
Thank you for
and grateful.
having me on your anniversary show. I feel privileged.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. Long time fan and
Same here.
Follower of your goings on.
Same here, honest to God. Big fan.
Oh, thank you. I ask only now that you sit there uncomfortably while I wrap things up.
Wait
to
a
the
second,
folks
hang
at
on.
home. Oh, we can't let her go without the Larry King game. Can you believe I came that close to letting her off the
I
hook?
wasn't going to let you.
God.
How dare you?
Damn it.
Would never let it happen.
You can always blame Sam. Now, let me reiterate.
Sam Levine.
Let me reiterate some of the fun that could be had here while trying to take away some of the pressure. I want a bad Larry King. You may have noticed from mine earlier, I'm not interested in a good Larry King. So no pressure at all to actually sound like Larry King. It's much funnier to us if it's a bad Larry King impression. That is indeed where the funny begins.
Like this? No.
Perfect. Actually, perfect, yes, please. We've had more bizarre. And then it's really that moment where Larry it's the too much information moment, the TMI. Just too much information, Larry. Again, about Larry, not about you.
Right.
It's really Larry's moment.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, I have to reiterate because there's a few people who shared something about themselves because they didn't understand the concept.
Oh, no.
That's embarrassing. So it's Larry's TMI moment, and then you want to go to the phones. And if the name of the city is funny sounding, it's good. So those are kind of the three things we're looking for. A bad Larry King impression, the too much information moment, and then go to the phones the way he does. So it's a little bumper. There's your camera right there. Should you be willing and able?
Just go.
Sure.
This is Larry King saying, remember the time me and Melvin Douglas were doing Jell-O shots in helium and reading penthouse letters? Knit 1, purl 2, California, go!
Thank you, Laraine Newman, and thank you, Sam Levine, for reminding.
My pleasure.
We work as a team, but we don't work at all. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was perfection. Knit 1, purl 2. That's fantastic. Very, very happy. Very, very happy. Thank you for all your questions that you brought in to us today. Thank you, Jamie, for forwarding. I know that's always a difficult task, and I don't stop along the way to thank you. No, it is, because there's people writing, and they all think they're so funny and engaging, and of course they're not.
I don't do much.
Nobody wrote it.
These are all written by Jamie.
No, just the last one was.
Yeah, you may need some 1970s Harold Ramis talk before we leave.
That was the only thing I wrote.
Oh, the request came in late.
Cool.
Do you remember the 1970s Harold Ramis?
That's my
Yes.
dream man.
Cute.
As everyone in the chat room knows.
Cute.
That's Jamie's. She wants to go back in time and just be with the 1970s Harold Ramis.
I'll take 80s
Ghostbusters
Ramus.
was on last
I'm not
night.
picky.
Ghostbusters was on last
It was.
night.
I watched Ghostbusters 2 last night.
Did
That
ya?
was on. Yeah, that was on as
It's
well.
on a continuous loop in our house. Who are you kidding?
I wish.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much. All right. Next week is not our second anniversary. It is the first show of the what? the rest of our lives. Godspeed to those in harm's way around the world at present. We continue to do battle, and this time in a new neighborhood. Why? Because we're the fucking sheriff. But those that are risking their lives under the auspices of this particular country, our hearts and prayers go out to each and every one of you. Godspeed. Get home safe. Next week, I'm very excited to say that Fred Savage will be at this table representing another generation.
But what's weird is
yes,
Danny Stern is going to come back and provide his inner monologue for us.
That is genius. We've got to get Danny Stern on the blower to make this happen.
Come on, man!
Sammy, you can't just make this shit up on the spot.
Let's do
I
it.
need follow-through.
All right.
Danny Stern was great on this show and a friend of the show, and that is a brilliant idea. Get to work with Rotman now.
Okay.
All right.
We're on it. Tune in next week.
Tune in next week to see if they actually pull it off. But I do want to thank everyone here on our second anniversary again for 2 near perfect and fantastic years. And here's to the next many to come. We will continue to bring you this show on a weekly basis. Check the calendar at kevinpollak'schatshow.com for upcoming shows. We do have some great ones coming up with Tom Lennon and Eugene Levy and Rob Reiner and
Peter Weller.
I
won't be here for that. Breaks my heart.
Oh, Sammy, we'll play it for you in slow motion.
Okay.
There's going to be some great shows coming up, so please. And also, as you continue to help us evolve, don't forget to write us a contact at kevinpollak'schatshow.com and make some requests, but also help whenever you can and want for the show as we grow from 2 to 3. Our crew outside the hallowed walls of the studio have been working fearlessly for 2 hours and 17 minutes. I wonder what they've really been up to over the last couple of hours. If only there was some way, some sort of photographic evidence of what's been taking place outside. Oh, look, we got a cake. Congrats on making number 2.
For our anniversary.
Oh, that old gag. You weren't going to put that in my face, were you? Wait a second.
Emily, but
why is Wait, you thought that was funny?
They wasted 2 cupcakes? Okay, first they only wasted the 1, and I was just a little upset. But now the fact that they wasted 2 cupcakes, I know.
They wasted 2 of Kenny's cupcakes.
2 cupcakes.